All right, welcome Internet. I am here with Rando Mando, and he is someone from the On the Sensor server, and as well he's been on the discords of other servers, other discords as well. And with that, he showed me a deck that I've been loving, and I've been playing it as well. So with the 86 here, we're going to talk about the version of the deck I've made, but first we're going to talk about what Rando has. Rando, why don't you take it away and show us what you've done with that deck?
All right, so we'll start off with the characters. I'm running Elite Kendall Ozol. So his power isn't really useful here, but if they choose to, before the starting character roll, each opponent may choose to lose it to the character roll to give 2 shields to their characters distributed as they wish. So if they're feeling risky, they can do that. I'm not sure why you would. So he's got 2 discard sides and 2 money sides, which we want to see. The indirect side isn't so nice. And then to help him out with our mill here, we're running 3 Jawa junk dealers. So after you activate a Jawa junk dealer, you may play a gray neutral card from your hand, decreasing its cost by 1. So this will help us with money management. All right, and then to help flow the damage away from our mill characters and to include yellow, which has some handy dandy removal and mill cards, we have the Pike Sentinel, which has a guardian effect. And then for the battlefield, we will be running the Pike Syndicate Mine, which its claim ability will allow us to discard the top 2 cards of a deck. And if one of them is a event, we get to get some money, 1 resource, which will help us pay for some of the cards if we win the roll-off. So looking at the best hand for me personally, when I play the deck, I like to see a Utini, which is a 1-cost gray neutral card event, which says spot up to 4 Jawa characters, discard that many cards from the top of a deck. So essentially with our Jawa junk dealers, we can activate the Jawa junk dealer to lay this for free, spot our 3 Jawa junk dealers, discard the top 3 cards of an opponent's deck, which will help the mill move along faster. And along with our Jawa junk dealers, we have a Wretched Hive, which is a 1-cost gray neutral support location, which has the action Exhaust this support and spot a Scavenger, which our Jawa junk dealers are, to force an opponent to choose and discard a card from their hand unless they give you 1 resource. So if they choose to lose a card, that helps your mill. If they choose to give you money, that helps out your money. So either way, it's a good card, especially with the Jawa junk dealers, allowing you to play it for free. Another great survivability card to keep the mill alive is the Sandcrawler, which is a 2-cost gray neutral support vehicle, which has 3 shield sides and a nice special. So the special says discard the top 4 cards of your deck to add a set-aside Jawa junk dealer to your team. But the only downside to this is it does come into play exhausted for the first time, so it has like a delay. So you want to get that out early as possible to maximize its use. An interesting card here, another support, I like supports here, is Hired Muscle, which is a 1-cost yellow neutral support, and it doesn't have any ability, but its die sides are what we're looking for. It has a 3 disrupt for a resource, which can be nice to prevent the opponent from laying upgrades or events to stop your mill. It also comes with a 2 discard for a resource and a 2 shields for a resource. So both those sides are very nice, and with our money-making cards, it's always affordable. And the final card I usually like to see in my first hand is an Intel Breach. So Intel Breach is a 0-cost red villain event, which allows us to discard a random card from an opponent's hand, and then if that card is an event, you may place a card from a discard pile on top of its owner's deck and spot a leader to draw a card, and then you set the card aside. So Kendall Ozol over here is a leader, so right away we can get down a free Utini from our Jawa junk dealers, then lay until breach, maybe pop an event, and lay a Utini again for 6 cards. Again, tapping another Jawa junk dealer to maximize resource management. So that is a very nice first hand. No removal in our first hand, because I feel like it's important to get down the basics. All right, and then so building on to that, we are of course running 2 sand crawlers, 2 wretched hives. We are also running 2 hired muscles, 2 intel breaches, and another Utini to maximize all of those cards. So that's a good portion of our deck right there. Now, another interesting card is a standoff event, which is a 1-cost gray neutral event with ambush, and it reads, give each character a shield. In a offensive attacking deck, this is probably a really bad card, but in mill, it gives everyone a shield. You're not dealing any damage to your opponent, so the shields are all yours. And again, with the Jawa junk dealers, this is a free card essentially with ambush, and we're running 2 of them, so that's essentially 2 shields on all of our characters for free. So that's 10 shields if we have all 5 characters on the board. So a really nice thing to have, probably first hand or second hand. Then we have our removal. Now I'm running quite a lot of removal here because I don't like to die. So we have a bunch of very nice removal. Our first big removal card is probably 2 of each of these, block and dodge. So we'll look at block first. Block is a 2-cost gray neutral event, which states that remove all of an opponent's dice showing melee damage. We're running 2 of those. And then I have 2-cost gray event dodge, which is remove all of an opponent's dice showing ranged damage. We're running 2 of those. So regardless of the deck we're facing, we know we guarantee have some nice solid, they roll out 4 melee sides. I can exhaust my Jawa junk dealer, pay a resource, remove it. They roll out 4 range sides, exhaust my Jawa junk dealer, lay a dodge, remove it. So exceptional removal cards there. Then our last 2 removal cards here are Change of Fortune, which is a 2-cost yellow villain event, which says choose a symbol, then reroll any number of an opponent's dice, remove each of those dice that just rolled the chosen symbol. So no way to decrease it here, but essentially very nice card to, if they roll out big sides, just choose a side, reroll all their dice. So if it doesn't hit the removal, soft mitigation, otherwise it's hard mitigation. It can be either really, really, really good. Sometimes it could backfire, but it always makes them choose wisely. All right, now for getting rid of their hand. Really the only things we have to get rid of people's hands are Kendall Gozel's nice 2 discard sides on his dice, and since we're running him elite, that potentially is 2 cards a turn from their hand. But some other things to help him out, we're running 2 sonic detonators, which is a 3-cost gray neutral upgrade weapon. It's not really important, but it does have 2 discard sides on it. One is a 1 and one is a 2, so good sides there. And we can tap a Jawa junk dealer to pay it for 2 instead of 3. So it does have, if you can't get your better cards, this can be a turn 1 drop for potential 2 discard a turn. And then we're running just one, Exposing Disloyalty. You look at 2 random cards in an opponent's hand. Then if those cards do not share color, discard one of them. It's quite self-explanatory. You hope you get 2 different color cards. You get to discard 1. Not exceptional discard, but it can be useful in a pinch. I'm running 1 Demand Tribute, which is a 2-cost yellow neutral event, which says spot a scoundrel to discard a random card from an opponent's hand for each color among the characters they control. This can be a hit or a miss depending on the type of deck you're playing against. The Pike Sentinel is a scoundrel, which allows us to use Demand Tribute. So against a 3-wide color deck, Rainbow, 3 cards out of their hand for 2, great value. Against Mono, 1 card for 2, starts to lose its value there. All right, and then of course Probe. We got 2 Probe. Just a nice card. Look at 2 random cards in an opponent's hand and discard each of those cards that is an event for 0. Great, exceptional mill card. Then we're looking at 2 No Answers. So No Answer is a 1-cost red neutral event, which allows us to discard a random card from an opponent's hand. Then if that opponent has no cards in their hand, discard the top cards of your deck. So this can essentially be a kind of Exposing Disloyalty Utini all in 1 card, if you can get it right. So usually if you've got like, I don't know, an Exposing Disloyalty or a Demand Tribute or even a Probe, and they have 3 cards and you probe and you get 2 of them, then you can No Answer right away. That's so satisfying. All right. Then just a little more help for our mill from the opponent's deck. We're running 2 Rewind History, which is a 1-cost red villain event, which reveal the top 3 cards of a player's deck, choose and discard 2 of the revealed cards, then shuffle that deck. Now, I first read this and was amazed, and then I realized it had even more potential because the shuffle their deck. Some decks like to utilize the Outrander. So if they put like a 4-cost down and hit that special, you can lay this, mill some cards, and then shuffle their deck to ruin their Outrander play. So that's actually quite useful. And then the last 2 cards, we have a gray neutral 1-cost harmless trick, which is spot a great character to remove a die. So this is just a great removal card with the Jawa Junk Dealer, as we spot the Jawa Junk Dealer to remove a die, and we can use the Jawa Junk Dealer to play it for free. Then the last card in this deck is a 1-cost support vehicle Merchant Freighter, which it enters play with 3 resources on it and can be activated to remove a resource from it to gain a resource. So if you're really in a pinch, you can lay this. It's not quite as exceptional as the Wretched Hive, but it's guaranteed. Where I suppose with the Wretched Hive, they could take away their card instead of give you the money. So all around, it's got a lot of health. It's looking at a good health pool. 30 big health points, so it's a lot for them to chew through. And especially with Guardian. Guardian is exceptionally nice if they're running a Fibo sword. So it can remove that 0 melee side and take no damage and save you some damage. So Guardian actually on the Pike Sentinel has been pretty awesome for me. So that's pretty much my version of this. What have you got, the 86?
So my version, I'm going to talk a little bit about. It's not too different from yours, but I've just got a couple things that are different. So the battlefield I've been running is Salt Flats, and that lets me A, blank an opponent's die if I need to, or B, if I have battlefield, I can focus Ozzel to a discard. And I find that usually people don't play removal on the discard because they're going to do that anyway, unless they have something that they really don't want to get rid of. So that's going to be my first step to getting out of hand. It's just that Salt Flats and the Ozzel. It's not that people are going to take my battlefield, but this is a common battlefield that people bring. So I feel that this is probably just a good thing to have mixed in there because no one wants to take it. So let's talk a little bit about what I want to see turn 1 and my mulligans. So the Sandcrawler is my number 1 thing I want to see. That's going to come into play exhausted. If I get that the next turn and I get that special, then that's really going to help me get the Jawas out and help me with Utini, which is going to come later. I also have Standoff in here. And then I have Flank, play only if you have more ready characters than an opponent, and I can remove in a die. and then I have near miss and harmless trick. So there's a lot of just single gray removal that I can get rid of something just to stay alive. And I kind of in my deck, I feel like I'm in it for the long game. I'm discarding off the deck pretty quickly. I need to be careful and discard out of the hand. So I'm going to do a lot of removal here. So the standoff gives me a shield, the sand color to give me shields or to add another Jawa, the flanks, the near miss, the harmless trick, all to help me there. So other removal I have the dodge and the block that we talked about. So these are my 2 cost removal that I can get rid of all of an opponent's range or all of an opponent's melee. Going into the removal train, since we're on that, let's put Change of Fortune down. And we talked. I think you had that in your deck, right?
Yep.
All right. So the things I'm really wanting to get off and play, UT. I really want to get that first thing I can, and just get rid of 3 cards out of someone's deck. Wretched Hive, and I feel like I don't need the freighter just because I have Wretched Hive. Because people are either going to discard, or if they have money, they're going to give me the money. And I feel like Wretched Hive is essentially a freighter that doesn't. It's a bottomless freighter for me. So I went to Wretched Hive and took out the freighter altogether. I do have the no answers, and what's key to note about no answer is it's not always do that one discard to discard 3, and that feels really good. But it's great at the end of the game. If I just need to discard a card and no answer is what's in my hand, then no answer will do the trick. Demand Tribute again. So that's something with a rainbow deck that's going to hurt a lot. Mono, not as much, but it's something I can have at the end of the game to discard a hand if I can't do that earlier. I do have the probes to get rid of 2 random cards if they're events. Otherwise, and they get to keep them if they're not events. So probe is good for the hand, getting rid of that. I have the rewritten histories. Discard 2, reveal the top 3, choose and discard 2, and then shuffle that deck. And lastly, I have the Intel Breach. This is a really good card if you get it off and maybe you play Utini and then you Intel Breach and you put that Utini right on top of your deck. And what's important about this card has to be set aside, but if it's an event, you put a card on top of your deck and then you spot a leader, which is Ozzel, to draw a card. So you can put Utini right back in your hand with Intel Breach. If Ozzel's dead, then it just goes on top of your deck, but it's important to take note that it can do some great work if you get an event. But my deck's going to be mostly similar, and Rando kind of got me onto this, and thank you for this. This is a good deck. It's been very fun. And
it worked. That's one of those things where it actually worked better on the field than it did at first. Look, like it was going to.
Yep. Yeah, I could definitely hear you there. And it doesn't look like it'd be that potent, but it does the trick. Going into it, what do you think the weaknesses of this deck are?
Oh, probably anything that has either fast damage that you can't quickly remove, like Mando with an instigate. If he rolls out like 3-4 dice, because I think I was fighting you, and there's nothing I can do once you got those admirals out.
Yeah. I noticed I had a hard time with splash damage. So IG, Maul. If I had someone that dealt damage across the board, then that was something that with the block or dodge or the change of fortune, I could maybe get rid of both. But that would be a struggle for me.
In my mind, I think IG's a little scarier because he can go more than 2, which Maul is a reroll. So there's a chance he could reroll, discard, double blanks, get no value out of it, help you. Whereas IG, it's guaranteed and can hit more than just 2. As long as they spread their downgrades out, it could be real nasty.
Yep, I hear you there. What do you think this deck excels at versus, another popular mill deck in the meta right now is Moff Gideon and the Grindon. And, you know, I say mill, but we have Crime Lord and we have some Blizzards in that deck. And that is vastly different, that it can kind of switch on a dime and do what it needs to do. But how do you think this deck differs? Why would you play this deck versus that deck? Or what's different in the styles?
Well, first of all, this is not really reliant on your dice. So, you know, you don't have to worry about removal or rolling right. You're mostly in control as long as you draw your cards right.
Gotcha. So this deck is typically doing well in control. You're right that I only have, you know, with the sand crawlers, if I got both of them in play, that's only 4 dice in this deck total.
I think
you were correct.
I think I'm running 6, 7, 8 dice because I got the 2 sonic detonators, the 2 sand crawlers, and then the 2 hardened muscles.
Gotcha.
A little more dice on my part over here.
Yeah, I've kind of bowed on dice as much as I can, so I'm going to go ahead and spread this out one more time just for everybody to see, and then feel free to try this deck out. I've got 2 of everything in here. I don't have any 1-0s, and yeah, thank you for joining us, and look forward to seeing you. Yeah, look forward to seeing you guys that are watching and on the sensors. And yeah, if you have any questions, let us know in the comments below. Thank you.